Guess what dropped this week, kids? Captain America's Civil War trailer 2. Guess who's featured prominently in it? We'll get into that in a little bit. I know there's something else that came out this week, though, and I can't put my finger on it.
The National Pancake Day?
Pancake Day. That's not it.
Радость.
Oh, it's my ex-Bond villain wife. What can I do for you, darling?
8 марта. International Women's Day.
I should have never shown her that movie. Ah! That was a close one. Whew. Hi kids, Dark Knave here with his henchman Cram. We have a lot to talk about on Weekend Geek this week, so let's get right to it. We've got an announcement from the show Powerless that is coming out on NBC. This is a show about insurance agents at the worst insurance company in the DC universe.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah, so it's a lot like The Office. It's supposed to have that kind of bent to it. It's got Danny Pudi, Alan Tudyk, and Vanessa Hudgens of High School Musical fame. So that's kind of an interesting casting choice. The first superhero picks from that show dropped this week, featuring Crimson Fox, which is kind of a C to D-list Justice League character from the Wahaha generation of the Justice League. Very recent news for those of you who are fans of The Tick, both the animated show and the live-action show. The creator of both is come back to say that Amazon is ordering a pilot for a revamp of the show. So that's exciting news. The cast will be completely new. Patrick Warburton will not be playing the Tick, but he is coming back in the capacity of an executive producer. Netflix released a new Daredevil teaser that they showed on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week, as well as a picture that shows the costumes in probably the best look we've gotten to see so far.
Yeah, I really like the look that they've got going for the Punisher. You can finally really see his emblem on his chest. And the Elektra costume looks pretty good. I mean, actually really functional.
Yeah, far more functional than the cloth and ribbons hanging all over the place suit that she wears in the books.
I'm really looking forward to Daredevil Season 2. I think that it's going to be a great continuation of the street level heroes. And really, they've actually been the ones that have been resonating with me the most, and I think I've been enjoying the most between Jessica Jones, Daredevil Season 1. I'm really looking forward to Luke Cage, and eventually really seeing the Defenders come all together.
Yeah, and I think the marketing team's done a nice job of starting with that image that was sort of a montage of Season 1, and then leaking photos, and then, you get to the trailer with the Punisher, and then you get a taste of Elektra. Now you're getting to see all three of them fully on with the costume shown. I think they've done a nice job of setting this one up. We're very excited to see it. Over on CBS, it's a show that I love quite a bit, so I'm happy to see that Supergirl has been picked up for Season 2. The Flash crossover is a go, and they have released a poster that simulates a comic book cover that harkens back to the old Superman versus the Flash race scenario, which is pretty funny. The Flash would win some, Superman would win the rest, but it looks like an homage back to that. The storyline for this is interesting. The way they're going to introduce the Flash is as though he's coming from an alternate universe, so that's how they're going to cross channels. I think that's a device they can use for crossovers in the future. I like the way it's set up. The storyline's going to be Kara helping Barry get back home. It'll be interesting to see how that goes down, and I'm very much looking forward to that episode.
Also, speaking of The Flash, there was an announcement from Kevin Smith saying that he's actually going to come in and direct an episode of The Flash. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, he actually went on Twitter to post a picture of himself standing in front of that huge gold mural in the Central City Police Department, so very exciting news.
In Agent Carter news, we're actually starting to hear some rumors that we're going to get a renewal for Season 3, which I think is a fantastic thing. They left a lot of things open at the end of Season 2 to be able to carry it forward in case they got renewed for Season 3. Some people were worried because of some of the low ratings, but I think that this really ties in with the greater cinematic universe and helps drive other storylines, so they're getting a lot of value out of the show, even beyond just whatever the ratings are naturally showing. I also find this really exciting just based on the fact that we actually saw a very strong presence of Peggy Carter in cosplay at Wizard World. I would say that she was probably the second most represented in terms of women other than Harley.
Come on, Marvel. This is your time. Show us the Invaders. Give us some Baron Blood and Baron Zemo. Make it happen. We're coming up on the release of Batman vs. Superman, and now we're finding out that there's a solo Batman film in development. Interesting in the fact that Ben Affleck plays Batman, but he's also an Oscar-winning director. If you're going to pick a villain for that film, please, for the love of God, enough with the Joker. Not that I don't love the character, but we've seen his origin about 13 times.
I'd really like to see them try and do the Riddler again, but do the Riddler right. Not the campy Jim Carrey version of it, but the really sinister, menacing Riddler who's, trying to set up traps to kill you.
Yeah, kind of like a feel from the character on Gotham mixed with the Arkham games version of the Riddler. That would be very cool stuff.
Yeah, it'd be solid.
Fan favorite J.K. Simmons of J. Jonah Jameson fame has been announced to play the role of Commissioner Gordon in the Justice League film. So he gets to join the ranks of people who've played multiple characters from comic book films. It's fine by me. Great character actor. Now he's got an Oscar under his belt. I think this is an awesome casting choice. Also, Sylvester Stallone, speaking of Oscars, his part in Guardians of the Galaxy has been revealed to be one of Yondu's Ravagers. Here's the weird part. We're hearing rumors that he's going to be wearing a getup that looks very familiar to people who've seen other comic book films that star Sylvester Stallone.
I am the doll.
I don't know if I'm a fan. I gotta tell you.
It'll be weird. It'll be weird if they do that. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came back this week, and we're starting to hear some rumors about what's going on with Captain America Civil War, specifically the fact that the Inhumans pretty much aren't going to be mentioned at all, and the ties to that part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe really aren't going to be used, which feels really weird given the fact that they're probably more of a clear and present danger than, say, any of the other Avengers.
I find it very odd that this is the line in the sand. I mean, Age of Ultron didn't play a big role in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they did mention, oh, sure, we didn't call the Avengers, they could drop a whole city on somebody. I mean, at least they nodded to it. We're hearing there's not going to be any mention to Civil War or vice versa. It just seems like this is a weird time to pull that off.
It really does, and it really should be going both ways. It really should be flowing down from the movies into the TV shows, which then carry the storyline forward, but then things that are happening in the TV shows should be carrying back up into the movies as well. Again, if you've got one continuous cinematic universe.
And speaking of Civil War, this week, as we alluded to at the beginning of the show, the second trailer for Captain America Civil War dropped, featuring a very prominent Marvel character that we all love, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So, interesting trailer. This one has a lot of gravitas, gives a little more meat to the story, and I have to say, I feel so much better about the Civil War storyline in this cinematic form than I did in the book form. And I know I've bitched about this before, but the fact that the Avengers destroyed half of New York, destroyed Sokovia, destroyed Washington, D.C. I mean, that is plenty enough for a government to freak out and want to start registering superhumans.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, if someone comes in and basically destroys your entire city, you're going to want to know how you can start keeping track of those folks so they don't do it again. On a short aside, it is actually kind of nice to see that all this build-up and build-up and build-up that's been happening and all this destruction is finally having some sort of repercussion to the people that are causing it. It feels very realistic that way, and we haven't seen that a lot in the past.
Absolutely. We do have a lot of really great character beats in this one. It's going to become very difficult as Marvel introduces more and more characters to give these guys some meat, but even the trailer showcases a lot of very cool moments. You have the Black Panther running down the Winter Soldier on foot, and he's riding a motorcycle. You've got the Winter Soldier, what looks like to be an origin story for him. You've got Ant-Man and Hawkeye recreating a very famous scene from a comic book cover from way back in the day where Ant-Man is on the arrow that Hawkeye fires, and then he attacks Iron Man. Everybody gets their own little taste of something important. Here's my problem. Are we sure this is a Captain America movie? Because it feels like an Avengers movie to me.
Yeah, and they've always done a good job of keeping it balanced with all of these characters and everything like that, but it definitely feels like everyone else is stealing the show, and maybe they're just setting it up to be that way right now and really feel like it has that kind of gravitas, like you mentioned, and that kind of scope. But once we get into the storyline, what we'll probably find out is that this is really going to be focused around Steve Rogers and Bucky and Tony.
Could be, and the writers have come out to say this is definitely a Captain America movie, so I'm interested to see how the trailer, which doesn't feel that way, jibes against the film, which could very well feel that way. but we'll find out when we see it. Another interesting scene to note is the large black building that comes up out of what looks to be the ocean, and it looks as though it should be an Avengers facility, but upon digging into the trailer I noticed bars on the windows and doors, so that tells me this is most likely the Raft. And for those of you who don't know what the Raft is, it's a super powered containment facility, so think of it as a supervillain hero jail.
Have you ever, across any of the multiverse, been put in the Raft?
I have, and I gotta tell you, it's great because it blows up all the time, so it's easy to get out of.
Okay.
And lastly, it's the scene everybody was anticipating as the web crawler shows up and gets a hold of Captain America's shield and says, "Hi guys, so this is the fruits of the efforts for Marvel to work with Sony to get access to Spider-Man, and since Tony Stark's the one who calls him into the fight, I guess it's pretty clear whose side he's really on."
At least to start with.
And hey, Cram, guess what we predicted?
What did we predict?
This. One very unique thing about this movie, and I bet anyone we're going to see it happen in a lot of comic book movies going forward, is the eye animation on Deadpool's mask. Yeah, that's right, folks. That's from our review of Deadpool. We called it here. We said that Deadpool's CGI effects on his mask to make his eyes open and close to give it sort of more emotion was going to come into play in future films. I believe I even mentioned Spider-Man by name. So, big surprise, but very welcomed. I did get a kick out of the fact that what happens is he basically squints into little slits, which is straight out of the 60s cartoons program. It's awesome. Very exciting. That's going to do it for us, kids. Really exciting stuff coming up. We're really looking forward to Civil War. We're really looking forward to Batman vs. Superman, which is coming up right around the corner. I'm really looking forward to stopping saying really. Please make me stop.
As always, if you enjoyed the episode, please make sure you share with anybody else that you think might enjoy it, subscribe to our channel, and if you want to follow up on anything that we talked about in the episode today, check out the links down in the doobly-doo.
You really should. Ready, Cram?
Ready?
Supervillain freeze frame.